Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Litter Media Live, special edition, and we have some special folks here with us today. On my far left, Kai Pulliam, the head coach of Paint Valley's boys track team, and the guy in the middle, we've called him Superman over the last week. Yes, Superman doesn't always wear a cape, but he does wear black and gold. Paint Valley's Cole Miller, who recently won 3 individual state championships at the OHSAA meet this past weekend. They're our guests. We're going to be talking about that, what Cole did to prepare after breaking his ankle at the beginning of football last season. Our special edition brought to you by Hometown Motors Incorporated. Back with Kai Pulliam and Cole Miller right after this.
As a professional race car driver, I live for speed, power, and performance on and off the track. That's why I use the Dixie Chopper, the world's fastest lawnmower. Race into your local dealership today and test drive a new Dixie Chopper.
Welcome back to our special edition. Kai Pulliam, again, the Paint Valley coach, and Cole Miller, senior at Paint Valley High School. Wow, that's how I want to start. Wow, when the results kept coming in, of course, we saw the long jump result on Friday, but then the 100 and the 200. It's just like... Well, to the best of our knowledge, we don't think that there's been any SVC boys or girl track athlete that's ever won 3 individual championships. So you're a history maker, big guy.
Yeah.
I know we go back to something I alluded to. You missed your senior season in football because you broke your ankle This was before the regular season actually started. Talk about that injury and what you did to recover from it.
I broke at the very first contact scrimmage of the football season, and it really set me back, and I was really looking forward to that football season, and so I was really excited, and it kind of tore me down. But I knew that track was what I was going into. I think I had already signed or was close to signing with Ohio Dominican, So I knew I wanted to get back and compete for track. So it just took a lot of hard work, just strengthening my ankle, strengthening my legs after sitting for 6-8 weeks of doing nothing. I'm just preparing to be able to get back on the track and do what I did.
Now, staying on that thought of the injury, but going back the previous spring, you had done very well at the state meet your junior year, and what were your finishes that year?
I finished 3rd in the long jump and 5th in the 100. And
didn't place in the 2?
No, I qualified for regionals in all 4 events like I did this year, but I had knee surgery actually before that year on my patella, so I was a little nervous with doing all 4, so I ended up scratching the 200 and the 110 hurdles at regionals.
So from your junior season in track and what you're referencing there about the injury, you had high expectations for your senior season in all sports, but especially track, and then to go down with that broken leg.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind when that happened?
I just thought it'd be almost impossible, really, because I always wanted to win a state championship or compete in all 4 events, and some of those that are don't happen often. Some of those things that just it doesn't see done. And after I broke my ankle, it just seemed like nearly impossible to get back to be able to do those. So,
of course, any workout, the people see, on Friday nights, they see the finished product. They don't see the day-to-day practice. But when you're coming back from injuries, what kind of effort is involved in making a physical as well as a mental, emotional comeback from an injury like that?
It's hard, but it just takes a lot of mainly support from other people as much as it does physical training. You got to have people around you to hold you up and keep you pushing. Like Kai and Coach McAllister and my family and the whole community really just holding me up and setting those expectations for me to be able to go after.
Kai Pulliam, as we mentioned, is the coach, and when you know an athlete of Cole's abilities has had now 2 injuries, how do you pace your workouts?
Yeah, so practice-wise, Coach McAllister, I kind of let him take the lead with Cole so that he can kind of have a more one-on-one approach. And Coach McAllister is our hurdles coach, so Cole trains like a hurdler. So he's with Coach McAllister. But we talk, and we just make sure that throughout the season, especially last year being my first year, not totally knowing what I was doing, and then coming into this year, we wanted to make sure that we pace Cole well. All the boys would tell you that I spend a lot of time saying, I don't care what happens in March and April. I only care about May. So we go in with that mentality. And with Cole, it was especially important, like making sure we didn't overdo it. Mm-hmm. So during the season, we'd usually pick one meet a week and have him do 4 events where I thought we could compete as a team. And then the other meet, we'd focus on whether it was just hurdles and long jump or just long jump and 100 or just 100 and 200. We'd really just focus on 1 or 2 key areas where we could really work and get better at little specific things without absolutely murdering his legs or his ankle or and then we spent a lot of time asking all season, like, oh, Cole, like, how's your ankle? Mm-hmm. Is it okay? And Cole spent a lot of time lying about how his ankle felt and telling us it was okay when it clearly wasn't. But he still managed through that pain. And luckily, Cole comes from a family with Mark and Serena where they both have medical backgrounds. So they take great care and have taught Cole how to take great care of his body, which I think is just a testament to them and really saved what I think is an awesome career. Yeah. So I don't know if another kid with a different family could have bounced back from injuries the same way Cole has. So.
You know, another thing, I was telling you a story about myself, my senior year tearing a hamstring, and it was on a 45-degree night we were running that meet. Not like Southern California or Florida where you're running this time of year in 90-degree weather. That's not Ohio weather. How do you know when to, talk about pacing your athletes, maybe even shutting them down in some events?
Yeah, so when it's that cold and if it's like I kind of just judge it based on if I think they're going to pull something or I think there's a chance, I'll really cut it down to just one event per meet for every kid. So, for example, the first time Cole ran the 200, it was at Jackson his junior year, and it was, ice cold. It was probably, 30 degrees. It was snowing. It was dark. So that meet, we let him do long jump just because at that point that was his best event and what we wanted to really focus on. It was probably the second or third meet of the year. Mm-hmm. And then we decided, well, we don't want him hurdling, so we'll just throw him in the 200 and hope he doesn't pull anything. And that's just kind of the approach we went throughout all last season and the beginning of this season of if it's too cold, you're doing one event or 2 events tops. Yeah. And then that's not always a popular opinion, especially compared to other coaches. I think some coaches want to go for the gold all the time, and especially in March and April, I just don't really care about the meets as much. We obviously want to win, but keeping us healthy and safe and prepared for May is what really counts. So.
Now, Cole, there was not a whole lot made out of this, but you actually made the state meet in 4 events. The other was the 110 high hurdles. Tactically, you made a decision to pull out of that because for those that don't follow track, that runs right before the 100. So talk about that decision.
Yeah, there was a lot of thought that went into that because, like Coach said, I'm a hurdler. I've always been a hurdler. The 100, 200, and long jump all came later, but I've ran hurdles since 7th grade. Yeah. So I've always wanted to do the hurdles. I've always loved the hurdles. So it was a really hard call, but my ankle was having a hard time keeping up with that much impact with a 3-minute break in between those 2 races. So by the time I was getting done with the 110s, I was jogging back to the start line to run the 100. And I was getting a little bit of beating on it, and I was ranked relatively low in the 110s, and I had a shot in the 100. So it just seemed like it made more sense to go for a gold in the 100 and not risk slipping up in the 100 or hurting myself, so that way I couldn't win it.
And not only the wear and tear, but going over hurdles, you may bump that ankle from time to time.
Yeah, so actually, I think it was district prelim finals and regionals, I hit my left foot. It was the opposite one of I broke. But, I mean, I was tearing up my left ankle from hurdles, and I didn't run the best times I wanted to in the 100 at those meets. So that really kind of played a part in my decision to drop the 110s. But yeah, I was taking a little beating off the hurdles on my one foot.
You know, the different events in track and field, there's almost a personality difference in the type of athlete that does the different events. You got to have confidence in whatever you do in life, but a sprinter has got to have so much confidence that you can't be looking at the guy next to you. You've got to just be focused in on what you're doing, getting that quick start out of the blocks. Talk about how you prepare when you've got the warm-ups off, you're heading to the blocks. What's your mindset? What are you doing to prepare?
Well, with me, it's actually trying not to think a lot. It's just really getting everything out of my head and just looking at the ground when I'm in the blocks and just keeping my mind really shut off. Yeah. Because last year when I went up, I was really scatterbrained and just a mess. They start you over by the 300 start, and they walk you around, and you kind of just get to see that whole crowd out there in front of you, and that was really a shock to me, and I struggled with that. But going in this year, I had a completely different mindset of basically just shut off my mind and not think about anything, and that helped me a ton.
In a way, of course, there's not physical blinders, but for those of you that watch horse racing, they put these blinds so the horse can't look next. In a way, it's almost trying to do that.
Yeah. But in the 100, I kind of slipped up and got my head a little carried away. And I could see those guys getting out in front of me, and that was I kind of had to shut that off and just run.
Do you feel like you have a second gear, so to speak, or a third gear where you can, as you said, turn it on if you have to?
Well, the past couple weeks I have not. I was getting out of the blocks in front of people, and then they were kind of hitting that second gear and catching me. But in the 100 finals, 3 or 4 kids got out in front of me out of the blocks, which I was not used to. But I found that second gear and kind of reeled them back in, and ended up passing them right at the line.
Forget Superman. This is Secretariat. Last out of the blocks, and he blows them away by 30 lengths. Yeah, and we're going to show Dan's operating the controls, a little bit of video here. This is the 100 right here. Now, Cole's in the black and gold. Now, right there, you were behind.
Yeah. They had me through the first 60 or 70 meters. The Anna kid, I'm not sure.
Justin Richardson.
He had me through the first 60, 70 meters, but I was able to hit a second gear that I didn't even know I had, really.
I don't think you passed Justin until like 20 meters to go.
Yeah. This is the 200 right here. And that's a different race than the 100.
Yes, completely. And I kind of changed my approach not too long ago. When I started hitting significant drops in my time, but I changed my block start, so I was getting out quicker. And my whole goal in the 200 was to kind of clear that stagger through the first 50 meters, and then slingshot my way around this corner. And it worked really, really well, and I came out to a pretty significant lead through the end of the straight. My mom wanted a picture on the podium with me holding up the 3 to show the third gold medal. So that was my mom's doing.
Well, somebody left their third gold medal at home
that
morning, so
I did.
We had to make sure we signified that some way since we couldn't get a picture with all 3 on them.
Of course, you're standing there with some of the elite athletes in probably more than just track. Who knows how many of these guys are playing, multiple sports like you did, and and maybe some of these guys we'll be seeing on TV on Saturday afternoons in football or in basketball or whatever. You said your plans are to attend Ohio Dominican University.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly when I signed, but I actually went up on a visit there in my Neely scooter after I broke my ankle. So yeah, they were really accepting and kind of helped me on my recovery. Yeah. With that, they didn't have any doubts that I would be able to return to the same level.
What do you want to study in school?
I'm going there to be an exercise science major and pursue a physician's assistant.
Oh, wow.
Degree.
Yeah. I've heard a couple of kids talk about this locally. They had an injury. They went through the surgery and the PT, physical therapy, and that's why they decided on that. Did that have anything to do with you, or did you already have that in your mind?
Yeah, it definitely played a part going through that multiple times because I had that knee surgery. So I went through it one time and then I broke my ankle, so I had to go through it again. And I saw how much those physical therapists and surgeons and all those could help one person. And it just kind of gave me a desire to want to do that for other kids and other people. That, and of course, my family's medical background, and that's always kind of been what I've been around all my life. So that certainly played a part too.
Yeah. I know another gal that years ago played for my wife volleyball. She wanted to be a surgeon. The boy she was dating, his dad was a surgeon. He let her come in to intern. The first sight of blood, she passed out. That was the end of that career.
Yeah.
Yes. It's. I think these shadowing experiences, we call them internships. Have you had a chance to do that yet?
I've been talking. So Colton Morris, he's a Paint Valley graduate. He's a really good running back. He's a PA with Cohen.
Okay.
So I've been talking to him, and I want to get in and shadow with him a little bit just to get that experience.
Right. Dr. Cohen's operated on my knee, my wife's knee, and my daughter's knee. So we can, little full disclosure there. Cole, anything else that you want to say, or Kai, just about this experience, not only this year, but this is the culmination of it. This is the icing on the cake, but it took a number of years to get here. Yeah,
it certainly did, and it also took a lot of people to help me get here. It took a community, it took the whole SVC, and I couldn't be more thankful, really.
And Kai, as a coach, this experience with this kind of an athlete, it kind of spoils you.
Yeah.
Where do you go from here?
Hey, I have said from the get-go that it's tough when you coach probably the most talented athlete that you get to coach in your first 2 years. When I took the job 2 years ago, our throws coach, Scott Baker, he and I were talking at a wedding, and he said, hey, 2 years, we got a chance to win state, and with the talent we have, and I thought he was kind of a little nutty. But then we kept working, and by the time we got to this point, between Cole and his teammates pushing him, and to be able to get a state runner-up and be the first team since the 1972 Adena Warriors to win a trophy as a team at state is a pretty big deal. And I know that we might have only had one guy score the points, but Cole will be the first to tell you that it was a team accomplishment because those guys pushed him and worked with him all year and practiced with him. And even before regionals, some of the guys ran beside him in hurdles. They sprinted so that he could get used to having people there. And the first thing Cole said to me when he walked off the track after the 200, after he got his medal, and he said, whoa, we really did this. And then the very next thing he asked is where we at in team standings, because that was one of his goals. And I think it says a lot about Cole, that he cares about his teammates and that he wants to get them this honor and this privilege. So hopefully we can use this as a little bit of a recruiting tool and say, hey, we can do something special if you come run track at Paint Valley. So even just for our own kids, and hopefully get more kids that want to come out and be a part of track. So because spring sports are a hard sell. So
well, ironically, my wife is taking a team to camp this week, and she worked on a theme, and the theme a rising tide raises all boats, and you're part of that tide that's hopefully going to raise that those boats that are, there's a lot of little kids that are watching you, and they're thinking, I want to do what he's doing.
Yeah.
You may not know that for years, if ever, but there's people that we influence in this world, and who knows, maybe you've inspired some young boy or girl to one day say, hey, Cole Miller was the guy that got me on this. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Kai, congratulations to you.
That's actually a funny story, though, Mike. Coach Norman, our girls basketball coach, has 2 little boys, and one of them, Jet, he wants to be Toll Miller when he's playing basketball in his little living room, dunking the basketball, and he does that little flex thing Cole does after a big play, and so we're super proud of Toll Miller and excited to see what he does at the next level.
That's the thing that keeps you humble, They still call me my brother and my dad's name, Mark Smith, sometimes. That keeps me humble. Guys, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
History right here, folks. Cole Miller, senior, Paint Valley, 3 events he was state champion in, helped the team to be co-runner-ups with 30 points. Columbus Grove, I think, was the other team. Marion
Local, who had 11 kids competing at state, won and beat us by 8 points.
Wow,
so.
that's something. Kai Pulliam, head coach at Paint Valley Boys Track. Cole Miller, Superman, alias Superman, with us on our special edition of Litter Media Live, brought to you today by Hometown Motors Incorporated.